The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Fool's Gold or the start of something more? We'll talk about that and much more when Robbie Sabo from JetX joins us in his weekly spot. 1 week till the NFL trade deadline. Will Glenn and Muji be busy? That and more. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started.
How much worse can it get for Aaron Glenn's Jets team? Can he salvage this season and give us something to be excited about? Every step of the journey, the Jake Asman Show will have you covered, breaking down all the storylines, every game, and everything in between. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super Chats, baby. Cut the line. The Jake Asman Show starts right now.
Here we go, here on a Tuesday. Welcome in, everybody. Make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you like the video. We will keep the content rolling as the New York Jets have entered the bye week, coming off their first win of the season. A reminder that Tuesday is raffle day, which means end of the show today, we're giving away a signed Walt Clyde Frazier jersey, signed Wayne Corbett football, and a signed CJ Mosley helmet. We will give people a chance to enter for the final time during this show. So gift a membership or send in a $10 super chat or higher to be added to our weekly raffle series. Ladies and gentlemen, let's say hello right now to the founder of JetsXFactor.com, Robbie Sabo. Robbie, the Jets have done the impossible. They have won a football game. How are we feeling?
Yeah, Glenn did not match the 96 Kotite version, so that's positive. And we've been talking about it. It's more than wins and losses when evaluating Glenn, and I think that's still the most important thing. And based on the way this win went down, the game flow, I think is going to be the most important takeaway, and it could be a blessing in disguise for Glenn. Changing his values a little bit to fit today's modern NFL a little bit more.
Let's get to the game, but first, let's give you an opportunity to reflect on just the tragic news that by now everyone's aware involving Nick Mangold. And if anything else, I'm just glad they got the win for Nick and his family, in this game on Sunday. But what was your reaction, and give us your thoughts on Nick Mangold, the player, Nick Mangold, the person, and his legacy he leaves behind?
Yeah, so my old decrepit self remembers the Coslet teams. Al Toon was my first favorite player with Barry Sanders, and so I go back to the early 90s. It's tough to call it a miracle, but the miracle 8-8 playoff team in 91 with Coslet. So I remember Mawai, loved Mawai, but Mangold, he just represented the right stuff for what that team was and who the Jets were in the Rex Ryan era. As reliable as it gets, as valuable as it gets in terms of an offensive player, he was the perfect face. And very rarely does, for cynics especially, when you're a fan of a team as a kid, and even when you're older, you get attached, but, rarely does it really shake you up. Mangold is an example that it just does. And my brother texted me too. Mangold is probably his favorite player, Mangold and Corbett. And, just seeing him go, it was a shock. I mean, I know he announced the issues a couple weeks prior, but still it was a shock. And, it was a tough one for sure.
I think he was a Hall of Fame player, certainly a Hall of Fame person. I'm hoping that since he is among the finalists for the Hall of Fame, that, I'm hoping that, we as, Jet content creators, Jet reporters, people that are just fans can raise awareness for him to eventually get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame so his family could at least have that moment. I'm glad that Nick obviously was put in the Jets Ring of Honor a few years ago in 2022. That's where that photo is from, that you see Nick on the screen. So I'm hoping at least his family can get that, because it's so tragic. And it's been it's been so I don't know if cool is the right word because it's such a terrible situation, but it's been really heartwarming to see the amount of tributes for Nick Mangold and the different stories people have shared. I was even yesterday watching some comments from Eric Mangini talking about Nick Mangold, how he's like, if my three boys grow up to be like Nick Mangold, that'd be the greatest thing. So just the tributes and the comments from people who knew him are coming from everywhere. So it's been heartwarming to see for sure.
Yeah, it's a positive reflection upon who Nick was as a person and what the Jets fan base is. Jake, you always say it. The Jets fans deserve the best because they are the best. They hang in there. There's no question about it. And think about me. I didn't see the Mangini stuff yet. I'm going to check it out. But think about that draft in 2006. Terrible year in 2005. Had to bring Vinny back from the retirement home. It was just awful. Herm's last year, everyone was screaming for Leinart, Vince Young, Reggie Bush. They go to Brickashaw. Mangold was kind of, I don't want to say an afterthought, but late first round, kind of afterthought. And it turns out that the picks that nobody wanted, not nobody, but the lesser percentage of the fan base didn't want, turned out to be the building blocks, and they were above and beyond their play on the field. It's their personalities that really, really drove the point home in terms of why and how special they were.
Well said. We're presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Jets are a favorite against the bye this week, Mr. Sabo. How about that?
It's a shame. Honestly, if you're going to pick a bye, this would be the worst case scenario.
Let's talk about that, because it's the thought process by some is, hey, get the win, reset. You alleviate all the pressure that's been on the Jets. Not that there's not pressure anymore. If they lose to Cleveland, the noise is going to be loud again. But, you got to win. You're not winless now. You get healthy. You get Sauce and Garrett back after the bye week. So that's like the bye is coming at a good time perspective. The other angles where you just said, and it sounds like that's where you lean. Hey, you just had this great win where your offense was awesome. You want to get back out there right away, not sit on it for a full week.
Yeah. I fall on the ladder, and this is independent of the injuries. Obviously, the injuries factor in big time, and sure, it was Sauce and Garrett. That's for sure a big deal. But independent of the injuries, just generically speaking, if a quarterback plays this game and you're feeling good, you want to ride those emotions as soon as possible. Taking a week off, that's the worst possible scenario. That's not to say it can't work. Of course it can. But I would rather have, if I was Glenn, I'd rather have a game this week for sure.
I think it's interesting because Fields played great week one, and then he played as bad as you could possibly play week two. So it didn't matter then. Maybe that's opponent. I don't know, but we'll see. Obviously, we'll worry about that next week, how they come out. But as far as this game on Sunday, fool's gold, seeing the offense play that well, or something more? When you watched it in real time and you've had a chance to really digest what we saw, 39 points, 500 yards of offense. Obviously, no one saw that coming. They didn't score a touchdown the previous two games. Fields got benched at halftime. Woody made Woody-like comments unlike anything we've even seen from him before. I mean, what do you make of this offense and just what we saw on Sunday?
Well, off the top, I was telling you earlier, I had a emergency in terms of a security vulnerability with JetX last night, so it was a long night. Have not gotten to the film in depth yet. I'm going to be watching as we're on the show here, so I'll follow along. But my biggest takeaway is this. Fool's gold, probably, yes. I mean, there's no question about it. The biggest difference was the lack of pass rush against Fields. It's obvious. And I think Hayden has done a great job all year. I really do. It's the best kept secret in the NFL. He has done a really good job. It's the average time to throw. It speaks for itself. It's right up there. I don't know if it's still number one, but it's up there. Against Cincy, it was even beyond ridiculous how much time he had in the pocket. He could have had a picnic. It was ridiculous. And so from that vein, that is an anomaly that you can't expect that each week. And, I'm hearing a lot of things about Engstrand finally called it a good game. And Tiki was not crushing him, but saying Engstrand finally got his head out of his ass. Maybe not. I kind of start with Cincy. That pass rush was absurdly awful. The defense was awful. That doesn't mean the Jets don't get credit. Of course they get credit, but we have to live in reality. And that's number one. Number two, I think the biggest thing about this game and the biggest potential positive is Glenn kind of, I'm not saying he didn't know this before, but opening his eyes more to the possibility and the idea that his team is better and he could win more games if he accepts and embraces the high tempo game flow. When you're a defensive coach, your mindset, especially old school guys, is never give an inch, never give an inch, never give an inch. If you do that in today's league, you will be bitterly disappointed and your game plans will be awful because you could only game plan to an effective degree if you live in reality. And if you have the never give an inch mentality, you're not going to do anything right. In this game, their defense was bad. Let's be honest. They got clutch stops at the end. And that's what the NFL defense is about today, coming up big in the red zone and in crunch time. So kudos there. But Glenn, from a game flow perspective, I think that's the biggest potential that he understands. Okay, my team could win in these types of ways. And if he has that mindset, Fields will play more aggressively instead of being shy to throw. And Engstrand will call a more aggressive game instead of being conservative. So hopefully that makes sense to everyone. Basically, I think it's a Glenn mindset thing. And I think this could really help out in the long term.
I'm rocking a Jet long sleeve today, right?
Mm.
And I'm paying homage to a guy you just mentioned. I thought Tanner Engstrand called a hell of a game. This is the Engstrand long sleeve as a nod to Mr. Tanner Engstrand here. I mean, there's been moments where I've really liked what Tanner has done. I think sometimes he would almost like kind of get in his head and overthink things. And I think an example of that even in this game is, hey, 4th and 1, don't give Justin Fields the opportunity to check out of, the obvious quarterback sneak there. Like, you can't be throwing a toss to Breece Hall 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage in that spot. You made it just too easy for the Bengals defense there. So, to me, Engstrand, though, overall, like when we watch the All-22 with Joe Blowett, or I see other people do some breakdowns, there's guys open. And if you could score that many points, I get the Bengals defense, let's call it for what it is. They're allowing over 30 points per game. They're not good. But when you could still score that many points without Garrett Wilson and without Josh Reynolds, with a quarterback in Fields who looked completely lost the last 2 games, that's not nothing to me. I thought he called a heck of a game. It kind of reminds me of like LaFleur, how he would have success with every quarterback not named Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
But like I that to me is really encouraging from Engstrand. And look, if this regime is going to be here, and as long as they don't finish 1-16, right, more likely than not, Aaron Glenn and this staff is not going to be one and done necessarily. I'm rooting for Engstrand to continue to show us a lot because he's going to be in charge of developing the quarterback they take. So that to me was a really encouraging performance by him, having the balls to call the Breece, halfback toss to the end zone to Mason Taylor. To gumption there. There was just a lot that I really liked. Even the creative play call that a bunch of people online pointed out on the 4th and 1 to Ruckert. They copied the play that the Jets had to deal with against the Lions a few years ago that Ben Johnson called against them in 2022. So I just thought that was a really well-coached game by Engstrand. To give Glenn credit because all the aggressiveness and the different decisions he made, it obviously worked and they got a win. So you get credit when you win.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say I haven't been as down on Engstrand as everyone else, and I'm probably not applauding him as much as everyone else based on this game. Now, I'm not saying I didn't like what I saw, of course. I think he was better. I think it was good. But I also think game flow kind of put them in that scenario. Like if we look at the first couple of drives, it wasn't anything different. It was pretty safe. It was, pretty Jet-like. And then the game opened up, and they had no choice. And once they had no choice, then Fields was dropping back and picking his nose in the pocket, and he had all the time in the world. And once that happens, as a play caller, the world is your oyster, honestly, as a play caller and a quarterback. So that's a major thing. And Engstrand, listen, with this team, with Fields' legs, he has a built-in advantage in terms of running the ball because defense has to eliminate players, keep guys on the edge, keep guys on quarterback responsibility. He has a built-in disadvantage in the passing game. So we have to understand that. And yesterday, it was a good job. It was definitely a good job. And I'm not trying to rain on his parade, but man, Cincy is just brutal. And the Jets defense was brutal too. So it went back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, both defenses stunk. The Bengals defense has been horrendous all year.
Once Hendrickson went out, I mean,
yeah,
that was a key moment for sure.
Well, the thing is too with with Engstrand, it almost feels like with Tyrod being unavailable, he kind of went into the game and was just like, you know what, screw it. Like, I'm not going to change the offense for Fields because it feels like because they had no confidence in Fields and Fields
Yeah.
had no confidence in himself, they weren't going to let any like long developing routes be called. And they were probably coaching up Fields. Hey, man, just get rid of it. Take the easy stuff. And like he was clearly in his head. Like
Yes.
Fields was letting it rip. But I do think to your point, the MVP of the game was the offensive line for the Jets because Fields, he gained confidence the longer the game went because he knew he wasn't being hit. And we could be honest. Will Parkinson said this yesterday. He's right. Fields looked like he was afraid to get hurt the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
Afraid to get hit. And, you know, once he knew he was dropping back and no one was going to touch him, he got a ton of confidence. I just wonder, the fool's gold aspect of it is, hey, now you play Cleveland next week. Myles Garrett is coming off a 5-sack game. Like, even if you contain him, Fields, you're going to be under duress at times. How do you handle it in that moment against a really good defense?
Yes. And listen, I'm not a huge Fields fan. I've never been. But here's the thing people miss so often. Fields, who is he? And a lot of quarterbacks are like this, as they should be. They want to take on the head coach's aura, who they are, the message. And it starts at the top in terms of the head coach, that message, that mindset, that game plan, and it trickles down. So injury aside, injury is probably a big part of it. I think it's the message too. He's going to be conservative and not want to throw picks. And in situations where they're forced and they have no chance, this could be the result. I mean, since he's the opponent, of course, that's going to be the result each week. But you get the point. I think that's part of it too. Not just the injury. It's the message and the way they want to play. I don't care about your brand of football or identity. I care about you guys designing stuff that works in today's league. That's what I care about. Because if you do that and the strategy is right at the top level, it could be different underneath it, but the top level has to be that. And if it's that, you have a chance to compete.
I'll tell you what, you know, one of the things that I was thinking about, because you brought up Justin Fields, he doesn't want to throw an interception.
Yeah.
This has got to be the first time this late into the year the starting quarterback of a team has no interceptions and the defense of that team has no interceptions. Now, Tyrod has thrown a couple picks, so it's not like the Jets haven't had a quarterback that's thrown interceptions. So, you know, maybe it's a tough stat to kind of look up. But think about that. The Jets defense does not have an interception. They came very close a couple times on Sunday, including the one in AZ Thomas' hands, but he was out of bounds first, so it didn't count. And Justin Fields hasn't thrown an interception all year. Think about that.
Here's a perfect example of how your mind has to be a bit evolved and a bit different in today's game. Justin Fields not throwing a pick this late into the season, I think, is a very bad thing.
I agree with you.
And the folks that don't think that, I think, are just living in a different reality. Now, listen, if he had 20 touchdowns and he was tearing it up and he was in the MVP conversation and had 0 picks, sure, it's a great thing. But based on this context, it's a bad thing. So let's see what happens. And also, the 4th down call, it's a tricky thing. This is something I forgot to mention before. It's a tricky thing. I agree with you. There has to be some cases where you don't leave it up to the quarterback as an option and just run the quarterback sneak. At the same time, how far do you push that envelope and not give your quarterback that trust? So it's a delicate balance. You want your quarterback to make the right decision. But, you know, definitely noted.
Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line for anyone who tuned in late. It's raffle day in honor of the Jet win. Let's give people a chance to enter during this show. Signed, Walt Clyde Frazier jersey, the top prize in honor of the Knicks season. Robbie Sabo's co-host, Wayne Corbett, signed football. That will be raffled away today. And one of our favorites, CJ Mosley, signed helmet, the final prize. Gift a membership or send in a $10 super chat or higher to qualify. Couple membership shout outs here. Matt L sending in 5 for the community. Matt, thank you. Our guy Rick Kent, who I got to hang out with in person at our meetup for the Panthers game a couple of weeks back.
What's he like in real life? What's he like? Is he a pleasant fellow?
They call him the great Rick Kent. He's tremendous.
That makes sense.
And by they, I think I'm the one who started calling him that. But yeah, I do love Rick Kent. Rick and Matt, this is for you.
First win!
Hell yeah. Also, Black Gypsy gifted one. Thank you to Mr. Black Gypsy. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Mike D's Nuts in the house says, put me in the raffle, Jake. Run the ball over and over again. D's Nuts. raffle for 2. I mean, look, the Jets' game plan is all centered around their ability to run the ball, and we've seen it when they've had success offensively this year. The 2 games that Fields has looked awesome. Look at the rushing yards. Look at the success they had on the ground. I thought Breece was tremendous. Isaiah Davis looks like a real player.
Yeah, he could play for me anytime.
That's where it starts, man. Isaiah Davis is awesome. Let's get your thoughts on Breece as we're talking about the running game. I wouldn't trade him, Robbie. I don't know where you stand on that. I'm keeping him, and I'd be looking at trying to either extend him on a two-year deal or use the franchise tag on him for around $13 million. Like, to me, where are you finding a better running back than Breece? Oh, just draft someone on day 2 or day 3. Easier said than done. If they're going to have a rookie quarterback next year, give them a running back room with Breece, Braylon Allen, and Isaiah Davis. That's going to help any young quarterback have success early on. If we're serious about not failing the next quarterback, then let's go out there and give them every opportunity to have a chance at success. I wouldn't be trading Breece Hall. I think he's a good player. He's still young. If he wants to be here, I'm having the conversation about, hey, man, what would it take to get you to commit to 2 years? We'll look at what the franchise tag value is, come up with something close so you get the guaranteed security, and we can finagle the cap hit so we can manage the rest of our team.
Yeah, 100% agree. And for me, I wouldn't trade him unless the return is right. I mean, if we're talking about a second round pick, yeah, I mean, I got to do it, of course. Third, you're thinking for sure, but based on where the market is for running backs, no, there's no way. It's just not worth it. Glenn trying to build a foundation. You said it, Jake, so many times. It starts with winning. And trading away Breece right now in this season, especially with Braylon hurt, does not help accomplish that goal. So, no, I would not do it. I wouldn't even think about it unless the return was eye-opening.
Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. How about this from Rick Kenny? He goes, tell Robbie I met him in Tampa. I'm the other guy with gray hair.
Shit. Rick, I knew that. I was just testing you, buddy. Come on now.
Matt L says, T-shirt, benefit idea. A picture of Nick with the phrase 74 in the hall. Proceeds go to Nick's favorite charity. Well, I do want to raise some awareness for what Matt O'Leary is doing. I bought a shirt to support this yesterday. I retweeted it on my X account. I'll put the link in the chat. So Matt released a hoodie and T-shirt that says 74 forever a Jet, and 100% of the net proceeds are going to the National Kidney Foundation. So go to MattO'LearyNY.com if you want to purchase your own. I'm going to show a picture of it right now to raise some awareness. Matt, I think, tweeted this morning that Jet fans have already raised $3,000 for the National Kidney Foundation in 24 hours. So shout out to Matt. Awesome what he's doing.
Matt's a good dude, except for his Islanders fandom. That's it.
Hey,
but he's a good dude.
Shout out to O'Leary. I got the green shirt you see on the screen there. Sweet.
Nice.
Dawn checks in. She's in the raffle now for 5. I was at the Monday Night Miracle game, and I've been a Jet fan my whole life. The anniversary of that 25 years ago, Dawn. That's crazy.
So, funny story, my dad went to that game. He didn't have season tickets. He didn't go to a lot of games. He might get to 1 a year, 2 a year tops. And he was, he's known, especially today at his old age, he's known as a fella who might leave the game early. Let's just put it that way. Ornery. It's funny dude, but ornery. And I was in high school at the time, and my friend was a diehard Dolphins fan. Of course, I stayed up to watch the game. But when I was watching it, I was like, there's no way he stayed. He definitely left in the third quarter. And come to find out, next morning, he actually stayed for the whole damn thing. I couldn't believe it. It was a miracle. It was the second miracle of the night, for sure.
Love that. That's very funny. I want to play you something that
led by Mawai, by the way, which is also a great convo. Mawai versus Mangold. Who is the greater Jet?
I think Mangold is just as good as Mawai. And Mawai's a Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. But I think Nick Mangold, if you watched him, like, he was at that level too. You could say Mawai's better. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
But to me, Mangold, like, he was as good as any center in the NFL during his time.
Agreed. I think where I land, and I've written, best Jets of all time articles, I always give Mangold the slight edge. I think in his prime, at the height of his powers, I think Mawai was a little better, but a smidge better. In terms of the greater Jet, I think Mangold edges him out because he never played for a second team. He was always there. And, 2 AFC championship game. There was just so many Jet, marks where he should be edging out Moai in terms of all-time Jet status.
Gonna play you something, Mr. Sabo.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully this gives you some chills because, man, is Bob Wischusen great at his job. The Jets just released this.
Formation. And now Ruckert motions right. The lone setback, Breece Hall. Toss sweep to the right. Breece Hall, he's going to throw the ball. Pumps once, throws back in the end zone. It's caught! Mason Taylor! The option pass right by Breece Hall for a touchdown. 52 seconds to go. Flacco, empty backfield in the shotgun at the 44 of Cincinnati. He's back to throw. Throws one high over the middle, and it pops up in the air, almost intercepted. A handoff, and this time the Jets shut the door. 36 seconds to go. Under some pressure, lobs one to the near side, incomplete. Flacco, shotgun, 5-man rush, looks over the middle, throws low, and it's incomplete! In and out of the hands of Josivas! The Jets are gonna win it!
Wow, great calls there by the great Bob Wischusen, the longtime play-by-play voice of the Jets on radio.
Okay, there's a couple things. How refreshing is it that a non-QB on a halfback option pass was not afraid to throw the ball into coverage? Number one, the dude threw the ball into tight coverage, but knew the coverage guy's head wasn't turned. Do people understand how special that is in terms of a non-quarterback throw? That's insane. Number one. Number two, just like I think it's a blessing in disguise for Glenn with the game flow, how it was so up-tempo, how it was so wide open. Got to get away from never giving an inch mentality. I think it also helps Wilkes on the defensive side. I'm not saying the defense was great, but Chase, Higgins, Flacco, they clearly go through different coverages based on the receivers. If they don't feel threatened by the receivers, like Buffalo, they'll play man press with single high, and they'll show it, no problem. Against a receiver group they're a little more afraid of, Tampa, Cincy, they'll play off coverage, and they'll play zone, and they'll give up some stuff intentionally underneath. And I think not understanding that you don't have to be hard one way or the other each week and mixing it up in the game, I think is another light bulb moment from this game for Wilkes and Glenn.
I just love the fact that Breece pump faked and then had the wherewithal to see that the defender's back was turned. So he gave Mason Taylor a chance to go up for a rebound like he was a basketball player and make a play. And by the way, Mason Taylor is a good football player, man. He's turning into a damn good tight end before our eyes. He's going to eventually be, I think, top 10 guy in the league at his position. It takes a little time for most rookies. Not everyone's Bowers or Laporta the last couple of years. But
look at Loveland. Loveland's coming along slowly too. He's got commit in his way, but still. You're seeing
real improvement there. And also I'll give credit to a guy that I've certainly been critical of. Jeremy Ruckert has turned into at least
solid.
A competent tight end too, right? Like you could live with Jeremy Ruckert if he's your second tight end. He doesn't have the drops anymore. His blocking has improved. He made that huge play on the 4th and 1. The catch and run was nice. So give credit to Ruckert.
There was a moment in the summer in camp when I was telling everyone, Ruckert is outplaying Mason Taylor right now. I think I had to call the authorities to protect me at one point. It was that bad with Jets fans. But yeah, dude, if he could block and he doesn't drop the short-handed stuff, he's a solid tight end too. I'll take it any day.
100%. Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. Robbie Sabo is with us here as we talk all things New York Jets. We'll get to your calls coming up as well. Your take on Aaron Glenn declining to name a starter for the Browns game. I think we all would be stunned if it's not Justin Fields, but your thoughts on that?
I'm okay with it. I mean, listen, after the Woody stuff, the Woody comments, Glenn, puffing his chest out during the week last week and not naming a starter. I get it. It's tiresome. It's brutal. But with Fields versus Tyrod, there is a competitive advantage in there. There's a contrast there between those two guys. Two totally different offenses. Not totally different. Works within the same confines, but you get the point. It's the way it unfolds is very different. I don't know how to feel about not naming the starter. I'm okay with it. It's fine. I just think the way he goes about it, in terms of talking, in terms of speaking to the media and making those announcements, you could be stubborn. You could puff the chest out. That's fine. You just have to be careful. There's a fine line there. You just don't want to cross the edge. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I mean, we all know that it's going to be Justin Fields.
It has to be, obviously.
Larry says he was joking. He was not joking. He gave a whole answer on not naming
I
the
haven't
quarterback.
seen that clip yet, to be honest. I got to check that out.
I'll play it for you. I have it right here.
Yeah, okay, play it.
He was not joking. He obviously was, saying it in a kidding manner that he's not going to reveal who the starter is after everything that happened last week. Well, this was Glenn being asked.
We were evaluating the quarterback position last week.
Yeah.
With the way Justin played yesterday, the natural question is, does he get the start against Cleveland, or is that something you're going to have to weigh over the next 2 weeks?
Well, Cos, I think my answer is going to be on that. This is a bye week, and we're going to focus on us. And listen, I have time to make that decision. So, again, and that's one of the good things of the bye week. But seriously, man, this gives us a chance to really just hone in on the good, bad, and ugly, and try to get those things worked out, because we know we have a ways to go.
So he didn't name the starting quarterback as Justin Fields there, but I think we all would be shocked if it's not going to end up being.
It's
Fields.
the bye week. It's the bye week too. I wasn't even thinking about that. So it's whatever. Honestly, it's the least of my concerns. I'm more focused in on Glenn's mindset, and all this stuff he did this past summer is good stuff. Like if you're looking at it from a coach perspective, competition, playing more physical, playing hard, it was all good stuff. But we kept saying it'll come down to strategy in game, week to week, game management stuff, which is huge question mark still. Major, him, flubbing how long the potential game winning field goal in London would have been. Such a red flag. But we'll see. It's going to be Fields. We know it.
Comments, questions, super chats. They will cut the line. Robbie, what did you make of the performance just in general with some of the younger players on this defense that had to go out there at the end here? I want to highlight specifically AZ Thomas. I want to highlight Brownlee. I want to highlight Brandon Stevens. I want to get your take on what you have seen from some of those guys who are going to be a part of the equation seemingly for this team going forward.
Well, first and foremost, what I would do if I were Glenn, is I would start giving Michael Carter reps at safety. That's first.
That is if they don't trade him by this time next week.
Correct. But that's the first thing I would already have in my mind based on Brownlee's tape the last 2 weeks. And I'm not saying Brownlee's perfect. Brownlee's play is matching, or even I'd say matching Carter's play in the last previous few years. Not last year, but 2 years ago. So Carter's a former safety. If he could play safety and slot as a backup, that's pretty damn good. So that's number one, because Brownlee's been that good. Stevens, he's steady. He's steady, and he does the right thing within the call, within the coverage. Malachi Moore, love him, flies around. But the AZ Thomas, the Higgins touchdown, it was an interesting thing because Malachi Moore, I don't know if it was a cut, but he drove down, I think, on a shallow cross or a slant, an inbreaker coming from the backside. And if the safety's not going to be on top and he's driving down, AZ Thomas cannot play it that way, press and trail. He's got to stay on top and force more time with the stem, with just different movement from Higgins and that receiver. So listen, you love what you see from the youngsters, but it's stuff like that, the communication. And listen, that doesn't mean if you don't have a safety on the top, it doesn't mean you can't show press and be impressed, but you can't be impressed like that. You have to play it a little safer if no one's on top. So other than some communication stuff, I love what I see from the rookies. And Kiko too, by the way. Sherwood made a great play in crunch time.
Bench for the first quarter, by the way.
Interesting. And was there any news on that? Why that happened? Did anyone bring it up to Glenn?
He said it's going to stay between him and Sherwood. When someone gets benched for just a quarter, though, typically
that's what I was going to ask. Was it that stark, or was it like, in other words, was he a starter starting in quarter two, or was it like sprinkled in passing situations?
By quarter two, he was out there as the starter again. So I think maybe he missed a meeting or something. Like, usually that's like disciplinary type of thing.
Okay, yeah.
Because if it's performance related, you wouldn't just bench him for a quarter. He'd be the backup for the game.
I'll find out today watching the defensive film. I want to do a breakdown on the final two drives, actually. But I'll see if Sherwood was out there in base on every play or not. I think he was. But Kiko, he's not perfect. He can't fly east and west and elude like Sherwood and Quincy. but that's okay. There's a lot of need for a heavier linebacker like him who fills and spills heavy. Quincy and Sherwood really don't do that. So it's high risk, high reward. That's why they give up. That's why they get gashed sometimes, because if the linebacker sniffs the wrong hole and is just a smidge irresponsible, the offense, the running back could just kill him. So we'll see. Watch Twitter and JetX for some film breakdowns.
Comments, questions, super chats. DNAT wants your take on Brandon Stevens. That guy, give the Jets credit and give him credit. That guy has really improved. Your thoughts on his play?
Yeah, I'm still trying to put my finger on how and why he started to accelerate this season. And I think it was when Wilkes and Glenn started to mix it up more and started to ask the coverage to be more versatile. And it started in week 3 in Tampa. I felt like the first 2 weeks were very stingy in terms of man press, single high. Very. Tampa, it flipped everything. And I thought that's when the coverage and the defense started to get some momentum. And I think that suits Stevens a lot better. I know they wanted to be a physical press, trail, hands-on type corner like Sauce, but you just can't play it that way every time. And if he's asked to maintain cushion, flip the hips, bail, and do what he does in a deep third, in a cover 3 or whatever, cover 6, I think that's when he's playing better. And why is that the case? Because if he's not pressing and trailing, and he's playing soft and he's playing in zone and he's maintaining cushion, his eyes are on the quarterback the entire time. And that's the big difference for him. So I think instead of pressing and asking him to turn, I think the way they're playing him now is more suitable.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats for Robbie Sabo. Write them in, and we will bring them up on the screen. We're also going to get to your calls. Quick reminder for those of you who don't know, we make the live YouTube show available as a podcast. So just search Jake Asman Show on Apple or Spotify, and you can subscribe there and listen back to anything you might have missed. Also, another reminder, last show to enter the raffle because it's at the end of the show today. CJ Mosley signed helmet, Wayne Corbett signed football, and Knicks fans signed Clyde Frazier jersey as we tipped off the Knicks season last week. So that is why we have a Knicks themed prize. I am currently working on getting some Nick Mangold related items for the upcoming weekly raffle. But unfortunately, due to Knicks passing, the memorabilia dealers have all jacked up the prices on that. So I'm still in bidding wars to try and get some gear for that one. But stay tuned for an announcement on that coming up later. All right, let's get to some of your calls right now. But first, a comment from the big fella who goes, "Fool's gold? Question mark? No. We have some promising young players on this team. We should get better through the year. If Fields could do his part and keep it together, need to play complementary football." Well, that's the thing, though, right? Like, that's who Justin Fields has been. He's able to give you that great game and then follow it up and be terrible. So I don't know what version of Fields we're going to get. The Bengals defense is terrible. Do we get a much better version of Fields against better teams? I mean, he doesn't need to play as well as he did on Sunday. That's not realistic, but like, it can't be, hey, you play like Patrick Mahomes, you play like Zach Wilson. There needs to be somewhere in the middle where you're at least competent to give your team a chance to win.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. There has to be some consistency, and something like this. I'm watching the 4th and 1 on the opening drive. The Browns front, there is no way Fields should have checked out of the sneak and into the pitch. There's just no way. Now, I see why he did. The linebacker was on his toes. He was coming hard on the A gap. But if he's not 3-point stance, you take that. You take the sneak every time. You have 2 gaps to go. You can go A gap to the right or B gap to the left. So I think that's the stuff. And it's a good barometer. If Fields is making the correct pre-snap decisions, such as this, then you feel a little bit better about everything else coming along. So we'll see what happens.
Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. Let's get to some calls, shall we? Let's start it off with Black Gypsy. Hello, Mr. Gypsy.
Jake.
Hey, there he is.
What's up? I owe you $100, Jake.
That's right. The
Wow,
Jets will not go 0-17. I had a bet. I would pay Black Gypsy $300 if they went 0-17. He would pay me $100. You could just gift the community memberships. That works.
Will do. So, first thing, Spencer Green, I need you to shut up because he's acting like Wilkes won a Super Bowl by winning one game. That's how low the bar is. That one game now we're like, oh, Wilkes is the great, or Glenn is the greatest coach ever. Like, we won that game by luck. Let's be honest. It was a lucky game that we won. I'm very happy we won the game, though. I wanted to win. Like, but we won by luck. Cincinnati's defense is ass. Pure and unadulterated ass.
I would call it a flawed win, not luck. You can't call it luck. That's not fair. It's a flawed win, but it's also a win that is a necessity in today's league. Like,
It is.
you have to win these types of games from time to time. And I'm telling you, it is such a major difference to me that they won this game like this. What was it? 40, 39, 39, 38, whatever, compared to a 10-9 game. If they won a 10-9 game, I wouldn't feel as good about the potential for things to possibly turn around, if that makes sense.
So here's the thing, and you were right, Sabo, about how Wilkes and Glenn changed the defense up and how they're handling the presses, because they're giving more space. They're giving Stevens a chance to do what he does best.
They're being more versatile. They're being more versatile.
They are, and their coverage calls aren't as obvious, like when they're switching. Like,
they were very stubborn in the first couple of weeks, not pre-snap disguising anything. And Tampa was the light bulb game. If you go back and watch the Tampa film, they were disguising stuff, and I saw it. I was like, oh, this is a pre-snap league. The way the rules are, where physicality is down, and you can't rely on randomness and just guys dominating their opponent one-on-one. It's a pre-snap league. You got it. It's why older guys, Flacco they have a chance to win. Guys can't touch them, and it's a pre-snap league. So, yeah, kudos to them.
And for Engstrand, I'll give Engstrand a good game. I think Fields is hurt. I think that's the reason why we're not seeing the option game that he should be calling with Fields, because
they didn't abandon it totally. They never abandoned it totally, though. Like, we got to be fair about that.
It's all running to the right, though. There's no running to the left at all.
On the first drive, they ran a QB sweep or zone. I think it was a zone. QB zone to the left for like 6-7 yards. Second play of the game.
Oh man, maybe I missed that one.
Okay.
But
I'll check. We'll check it out. If I see more to the right, I'll shoot a text to Jake.
90% to the right, and I think against Cleveland's defense, because there was last week's press conference, like me and Jake were talking about it. Glenn said he's going to talk to Engstrand and they're going to come up with a plan. This feels like the first game since game one that they actually had a plan. I'll give you an example. In last week's game when Tyrod was in, Tyrod came in and threw 3 passes, or just kept on passing the ball when the game was super close, and they abandoned the run. This game they were down, and they still kept on running the ball. Like, they still kept on trying to run the ball and getting yards, and then going to the play action. And I think that gave Fields confidence, because it just built the momentum around him playing. Like, it seemed like they had a plan this week. I don't think Engstrand is great, but I think he's good enough if he can get the best out of the players. And it felt like last game they got the best out of the players. Like, the only thing I'll give Spencer Green, that the players played really hard for Wilkes and Glenn last week. That I hadn't seen in the other games before. Like, maybe they were, but it didn't show up. This week it showed up on paper and on the field.
Yeah, I hear you. I'll say this: best laid plans, man. Like, best laid plan, you can only execute the plan is if you execute the start of the plan. Meaning, if the Jets couldn't pass protect against Cincy and they were getting pressure, it wouldn't have worked out this way. You could have a plan in terms of what you're going to do that day. You start in the morning, go food shopping. Later in the afternoon, you're going to go to the gym. But if you get stuck in the parking lot at ShopRite, you're never going to get to the gym. The plan doesn't get executed if something goes wrong. And I think that's a major deal in terms of the offense this year. I mean, what are they, second in rushing in the league, third or fourth in terms of yards per carry? I can't hammer the offensive guys when that's the case. I got to look at the execution leading up to the evolving game plan that week. But at the same time, I'm not ready to put Engstrand and Hayden and the offensive coaches in the Hall of Fame either. There's got to be some gray area there.
Let's just hope that we see real improvement. They self-scout at the bye, and there's some things that they do that actually translate. Because let's be honest, right? We should enjoy this win. We can enjoy the fact that we actually can entertain conversations of improvement and hope. It's a lot better than 2 weeks of 0-17 and one and done talk, but
Yeah.
you beat a bad defense. You beat a Bengals team that has 3 wins on the year, right?
Putrid defense.
Let's see how they look against the Browns now. You're playing a bad quarterback. You're also at home, but they have an elite defense. So can you win an ugly game, 17-14, 20-13? Like that, we're not asking for much, but win a home game. 2 weeks to prepare. Browns are coming in off the bye as well, but you're going to get Sauce and Garrett back. Let's go. Let's see this team go out there and look a lot better over these final 9 games. Like Beningo was talking about 5-4. I'd be shocked if they went 5-4. I don't believe it. I think
if I said 5-4,
that's what he would like to see. I think there's a higher power that helped the Jets win on Sunday because of Mangold. I really got to see that things are going to be different after the bye week to fully buy in. I mean, they could easily lose to Cleveland, and I don't think any real Jet fan would be shocked. I think going out there post bye week, looking ready to play, looking well coached, that'd be an awesome thing to see from Aaron Glenn as he's trying to show, a lot of people skeptical, including myself, that he has a chance to be a legit coach for this team going forward.
Listen, you have to be skeptical. If you're not, you're just not paying attention to certain elements that are necessary, such as the game management stuff and the mentality. I love Black Gypsy, but if I were to compare the strategy and the scheme with Engstrand and his in-game play calling versus the mindset and mentality and well-being of the quarterback's brain, the quarterback's brain stuff is so much more important than Engstrand. I'm not worried about Engstrand. I think he knows what he's doing. So I think that this is the best opportunity to improve with Fields and get him going. And Glenn and Engstrand knowing this and setting him with the right mindset is crucial right now for the rest of the season.
Super chat from Jared D, who says, "Thank God we got the W. Sadly, this was the only game I didn't watch a single snap of. Had family matters to attend to. I guess I'm the Jets' bad luck charm. Thing I shouldn't watch after the bye. Jared, hope all is okay with your family." I joked with Will Parkinson that the Jets only won because he wasn't there. He had been.
I didn't go either.
He'd been in every game, though. You didn't go to London. Will went to London. He went to Miami, Tampa. He went to every game until this one, and this is the game they won, of course.
Yeah, I covered the Tampa game. I did not go to Cincy, did not go to London, so I'm off the hook there. I didn't go to London. Yeah.
Oh, man. Jerry, you're in the raffle for 2. End of the show today. We got 3 items, baby. Clyde Frazier signed jersey. Wayne Crabette signed football. CJ Mosley signed helmet. Your top prizes. Jared says, Muji's moves seem to be working out. I think we give him a chance for a second year. If Glenn and Engstrand look like they did Sunday going forward, win or lose, I say give him another year. Well, Jared, obviously, if the Jets score 39 points consistently now with Fields, who looked like he was unplayable a week ago, yes, we'd be very encouraged about this staff. And if that remains the case, Justin Fields is now franchise quarterback for the first time in 5 years. So we got to see what it looks like if there is actual progress. They're not going to score 39 every week, but is Fields going to revert back to a guy who looked like he was afraid to throw the football next week? That's or 2 weeks.
It all depends on how ferocious the pass rush is.
Yep.
It all depends on that. And I cannot stress to you the importance of Fields playing well when he had a decade in the pocket to throw the ball. It's the most obvious, understated, most obvious reason why he played so well this past weekend. And hey, we'll see. They're going to have their hands full with Myles Garrett in 2 weeks.
Going to be interesting. As far as Muji, he gets credit for the in-season moves, but the receiver depth, the edge depth, some of the criticisms we've had there, I think all that is legitimate. Give him credit for the draft. Him and Glenn work on that. So Membu looks like the real deal. Taylor looks like the real deal. I'm encouraged by Malachi Moore overall. We'll see what AZ Thomas is. Tyler Barron in a trade up, not a good pick to this point.
No.
Arian Smith, he had that nice catch. Fields made a good throw to him there, but we got to see more from him. Yep. It's not a bad draft class. It's also not extraordinary yet. We'll see. But I think Membu looks really good. And if you found a franchise right tackle and a legit tight end, that's not nothing. You're supposed to hit on your first and second round picks, but not every GM does in Jet history. So time will tell. But they got to show competency the rest of the way. Getting that first win's a big step. Let's see what it looks like now the last 9 games.
Yeah, time will tell. And I think the only guy where Jets fans could or should be out on is Barron. and that's pretty much the only one up to this point. And by the way, Fields, I just thought of this while watching the film. I'm a multitasker. It wasn't. I'm not trying to minimize his play with the pass pro. That was the biggest difference. But here's where the coaching did improve, independent of that. Fields is a long release. In terms of this league, short passing, scheming up guys, he's not the ideal pick because he's got a long release. It's not quick. He's not decisive. But in this game, when you watch him throw balls on especially receiver screens, it was quicker. It was better. He was leading guys with placement. And that is a direct result of the coaching in which they saw on tape and wanted him to improve. I was stunned at the improvement in the short 3-step design passing game with Fields. So let's see if that carries over.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in. Comments, questions, super chats, cut the line. JJ says, if we beat the Browns and Patriots somehow, we will have momentum and win out the rest of the year.
Oh, yeah.
After Pat's schedules week, LFG, Fields, Ring of Honor loading. LOL.
Yeah, man, we're drinking
One
Everclear
win
this morning.
Yeah, one win, and now we're talking about beating the Browns, the Patriots, and then winning out. I mean, the schedule is not like, oh my God, they have no chance. But come on.
Hey, listen, momentum in football is a hell of a drug. There's no question about that. And that's why I want them to play this weekend. But crazier things have happened. But yeah, he's got to be drinking, 190 proof, 180 proof Everclear, whatever it is.
You know what they say? You can't go 10-7 if you don't at least have 7 losses.
That's true. That's true.
So the 10-game winning streak is underway.
That's true. It would be funny if they win 10 games and they miss the playoffs.
Hey, I mean, God damn it. How dare you even suggest that? Ladies and gentlemen, more of your calls. We got some heavy hitters on the line.
What's up, gentlemen? How are you?
Mr. Clifton.
So we got a big game this weekend. U.S. Naval Academy taking on North Texas at Daku Stadium.
The American, love it.
Yep, noon time on ESPN2. In case you don't have that on your radar.
Nice.
I think.
What are the Green Machine? What's North Texas?
I'm not too sure about, but they are 7-1.
Their quarterback leads the collegiate ranks in yards, and he was like a guy that didn't even play in high school. I read something.
Mean Green. That's their nickname. Mean Green. Not bad.
Yeah, and the Navy quarterback is the leading rusher among quarterbacks. So, with Fields, I think Robbie's point is taken. Like, it might be fool's gold because you can't guarantee he's going to play that free and easy every week, right? But at this point, he's got nothing. He's got nothing left to lose, right? All he's got left to lose is his career, which he's basically put himself behind the 8 ball thus far already. So just go out there and let her rip, man. Like, we saw it with that corner route for Tyler Johnson, right? Put it up and make things happen. If you happen to throw interceptions, at least you went down swinging. You're playing so that maybe you can be the bridge guy for the first few games of next year. Maybe you can, prove to teams that you can still be a contributor as a backup. I don't think you're going to be anyone's long-term, plan as a starter. And then, if you have an audition of, 12, 13 games, maybe you can prove that you can be, a bridge for somebody else in a best case scenario. We know that this guy has athletic talent. It's 2 reads and either run or throw the ball away. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And that's the story on Fields. you've got to be encouraged by the key stops that they got down the stretch against Cincinnati. You've got to be encouraged by, some of the rookies playing well. You've got to be encouraged by, guys like Ruckert perking up a little bit, guys like Clemens even perking up a little bit, even though he's not part of our future plans.
I'll say this: they have used Clemens better than the previous regime. There's no doubt about it. They get stuck with him in space sometimes, and it's not what you want. But for the most part, when he's in there playing end and base, they're having him crash, and they're replacing him on the edge, and they throw him at D tackle in the sub package. And I never saw that in the previous regime. So to Glenn's credit, they're using him a lot better.
And I'm glad that they were able to scramble and fill some of the weakness that we saw coming to the season at defensive tackle. And I'm glad that, we were able to scramble and bring in some extra bodies that might be a little bit more serviceable in the secondary. It might be premature to close the book on Glenn. We've got to see a little bit more. And, this is going to be a huge stretch here in November and December, just to prove that he can be a guy that can get a second year. That's all I had, gentlemen. I really appreciate your time.
Kyle, great call. Let's see how they look after the bye week. There's like certain litmus tests they'll have. Time to prepare. How do they look for the first time with time to prepare? Do they go out there and come out fast? Do they have any noticeable adjustments to the game plan that we could see? Is Fields coming out and he's coached up to be confident and let it rip, even against a defense that's a lot better? Or do they go back to the scared play calling because they don't trust him?
That's the biggest thing. I'm going to harp on it for the rest of the season. Well, not the rest of the season. Next couple weeks. If Cleveland's defense is good, the pass rush is going to be there to some degree. I still think the Jets pass pro has been solid this year, much to the chagrin of many who don't think so. I think it has been. Fields getting fouled up by staring at the rush and or trying to choose rushing lanes. See, what really dooms Fields is when the pass rush could do its thing while remaining responsible doing its thing. So if the Browns defense is good, I want to see Fields make mistakes. As crazy as that sounds, I want to see him throw an interception early. Like, that's not going to be the worst thing in the world. You can't be afraid to make a mistake. And Glenn, he's going to sink or swim based on this. Is your mindset going to be right for your quarterback in today's league? And if it is, we'll know it. We'll see it on tape.
John LG checking in. What's up, John? Besides the Bengals D not being great, the Jets O-line wore them out with the run game, and defenders are going off the field every other series. Yeah, I mean, it's demoralizing to a defense when you could rip them apart on the ground that way.
Dude, we talked about it in the spring. I think I said I made some silly wager with the Asmaniacs. If the Jets don't finish top 3 in rushing this year, I'll do something crazy. They're 2. They won 1 game and they're number 2. It's so obvious what they were going to do. Does it mean you can't be this way in today's league? No, you can be this way, but you have to be at least somewhat versatile and balanced. It can't be the only thing. And far too many times this year, it's been the only thing.
Spencer Green says, Jake, why do you continue to say the Bengals are bad? They beat your boy Rodgers. You mean Aaron Rodgers, who threw 4 touchdowns that night, but his defense gave up a ton of points to them? He couldn't handle them in prime time. He's trying to rage bait me here.
This isn't the NBA.
Yeah, it's
not going to work. One player, even quarterback, it doesn't, it's not the NBA, dude.
He's trying. Spencer is trying to press my buttons here. It's not going to work. Yeah, I'm not falling for it. He doesn't believe that. Right move by AG to move on. Once again, they have every right to move on from Aaron Rodgers. Don't sell me on Justin Fields being coached up and being a franchise quarterback like Darnold and Mayfield. And, don't tell me that, he's never been coached right. And then he goes out there and was one of the worst quarterbacks we've ever seen for a large stretch of the year until this past game. Stop it.
If you're drafting units, offense and defensive units in the NFL, all 64 of them, Bengals might be 64th. Bengals defense.
Yeah, like the Steelers.
It's not even hyperbole. They probably are 64th.
And look at the Steelers defense, by the way. They have a lot of names, but they got old quick. It looks like.
Yeah, they're not playing. They're not playing great. Something is amiss there.
They made Justin Fields look like a Hall of Famer.
Yes, yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. And you know what? Fields, that week 1 performance is miles better than what we saw in Cincy, by the way. And I think it comes down to Pitt actually having a pass rush and Fields dealing with that. That's the big difference.
Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. More of your calls before we say goodbye to Robbie. We'll do one more with Robbie, and then I'll get to the rest. Jack is next on the show. What's up, Jack?
What's up, Jake? What's up, Robbie? Happy
What's up,
Victory Jack? Tuesday here. Nothing to jumpstart a Jets offense like a Bengals defense, right? I mean,
they've always, historically, how the Jets have always fared well against the Bengals. Think about it. The Rex years, the 80s, it's always been a good time.
Yeah, I mean, schematically, I like what I saw. Obviously, you saw Justin Fields back there pulling the trigger finally, which is great to see. I am going to take the victory with a grain of salt. I mean, the Bengals defense is historically bad. But for better or worse, I do think this changes the trajectory of the Jets as we head into the trade deadline here. A week ago at this time, I would have told you that Breece was probably gone. They were probably taking calls on Quinnen and Quincy and Michael Carter. I still think you might see some deals, particularly around Michael Carter and Quincy potentially. But I wanted to float kind of a dark horse trade candidate in Sauce Gardner. And before you guys jump me here, I want you to hear me out. Against Cincy, we saw obviously T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, but we saw the Jets secondary hold up for the most part. We've seen a couple of these guys off the street in Brownlee and Stevens and Thomas perform pretty well against a really good Bengals offense. Philadelphia has an issue on their hands with A.J. Brown, right? A.J. Brown could potentially murder Jalen Hurts if they don't get him off the team. And so what about A.J. Brown being reunited with Mike Vrabel and the Patriots as they try to make a playoff push? Philly getting their first-round draft pick, and Philly's secondary is decimated right now. I think Sauce is better suited on a winner than he is on kind of a rebuilding Jets team. But sending Sauce to Philly in return
can't do it,
too
though.
Late first round. Why is that?
Look at what the dead cap would be if you trade him now. His extension hasn't even kicked in.
That bonus money, correct me if I'm wrong here, Robbie, I don't think that bonus money kicks in until next year. So I think they can still get out of that contract without absorbing the cap hit.
I'm not sure. The dead cap would be massive. Like that's the problem.
My understanding was the guarantees are paid into the future. So if they get out of those guarantees before they come due, they're not on the hook for the cap.
I'll look into it. I think it would be better the opposite if they took on a huge hit this year. But the original idea, I'm not going to jump you for it. Like before everyone goes crazy about in terms of what I'm about to say, the best kept secret in the NFL is that some of the Jets superstars don't play well with others. And what I mean by that is Sauce, how good he is, he's notorious for having coverage busts. Even as a rookie, even when he was all pro, there would be some lapses. Yep. Garrett, same thing. Excellent route runner, but not playing well with others in terms of the entire scheme. Quinnen to some degree. And I'm not trying to crap on these guys. I'm just saying a guy like Glenn who comes in, coaches around the league, they see this, they know this, and they're trying to fix it and coach them up. So,
well, Glenn extended those guys though. Like he didn't take the wait and see approach with Garrett or Sauce. He saw they were really good and wanted them here. And I think
they are very good. I'm just you have to be, if the coach doesn't identify what I just said to be true, there's no chance, there's no hope. And
I just don't think you could trade him, Jack. I mean,
yes.
And also
it's going to be too much. It's whatever the ramifications are salary wise. It's just too much.
Quinnen's more realistic because he has no more guaranteed money on his current deal, and maybe he's unhappy and wants more money. And the Jets are like, we're not sure yet. So like that to me is something you wait till the offseason and see if you can get a couple teams in on him and get a bidding war going for Quinnen if you're going to move on. Sauce, I think, is here. They committed to him. Garrett's going to be here. Like I don't think they're going to be able to. I don't think I'm trying to look into what it would be if they traded him. I can't confirm
it. Would be 36 dead next year, a little over 8 in 2027, 5.5 2028. and then 2.7 in 2029.
Yeah, you can't do that. I mean, you already got 35 in Rodgers. I mean, who knows his field is here
You got
next year.
Lazard's 10 million coming off the books, next year. So we'll see. But no, I've kind of been critical of Sauce. I think he's a great player at 15 million a year. I just think when you start getting paid like Chris Jones money, JC Horn money,
he's been good this year though. Sauce.
He's been good.
He's been good.
Really good.
And my biggest criticism is just the lack of turnovers, right? Like he's got 3 career turnovers in 3,500 snaps of football.
Fair.
Kyle Clifton just called in. Kyle Clifton retired with 4 times the number of interceptions than Sauce currently has. At the same point in their career, Kyle Clifton had 2x what Sauce.
He's a linebacker though. Like it's different.
Should have less interceptions than a corner. Like exactly my point.
But the thing is, how often does Sauce really get opportunities? Though would be the pushback. Like it's not like this year in particular. Like it's not like he's had a lot of chances to come up with an interception.
Yeah,
he took in London, he wasn't even targeted, I don't think, or he held Sutton to 1 catch and for under 10 yards.
Look, he's a good player. I'm not going to make an argument otherwise. I just think I broke these odds down. You have a greater chance of flipping heads 10 times in a row than Sauce does of getting an interception. And that to me is a problem on a defense that doesn't create turnovers. Like when you get to the $30 million a year range, like you have to be making game changing plays and you can't just be a good, solid player.
You don't think it's a coincidence though that they allowed 38 points when Sauce wasn't out there?
Yeah. See, here's the thing. It's not about, to me, I understand your point and I take it. You're correct, but it's not about Sauce getting the picks. It's about his play allowing the defense to get the picks. Like Malachi Moore, if he's on the same side of him, flying around, and if they're bracketing, he could jump and drive down on a slant. He's playing on top, stuff like that. That's what I need to see more. By the way, if they moved him now, they'd be in the whole 36.5. Next year would be 24.2.
Would you do that in exchange for 2 first-round draft picks is the question. Because, I mean, you have to look at it this way. You need to be able to get a receiver to support whatever the next quarterback is in here. And they don't have a third-round pick. And finding those guys outside of like the top 50, top 60, like it's really, really difficult.
2 1s, and it's the Eagles, so it's going to be at the bottom of the first round. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Listen, I'm not going to, I don't crap on the idea. I like, out of the box thinking. I wouldn't do it right now this season. 36 is too much. If something happens along the lines next season or 2027, sure, 100%.
All right, guys. Take care. Enjoy the win.
Jack, appreciate it. I think Quinnen's an interesting conversation because he's older than Sauce. He's already been paid. You're going to have to probably pay him again or at least guarantee more of his money. He's not having, an all-pro year. Still very good, although I thought he had a bad game for him on Sunday.
Yeah, that encroachment, that offsides. My goodness, man.
Penalty. I saw at least 1 missed tackle, it looked like, and just I think he's one of the best graded defenders against the run, and the Jets' run defense this year has actually been a strength. But if you're going to move like one of the quote core guys, to me, Quinnen would make more sense than Sauce at this point.
Yeah, and if you traded him now without any, maneuverability between the 2 teams in the trade, over the cap has it as them going in the red for about 14 million. Based on the dead cap versus the salary that you shed. So if you hold on to him until next year, then you'd save 11.5 or 11.8.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to be a crazy trade deadline for the Jets. I think they're going to keep Breece. I think the 2 players to watch are Quincy because he's a free agent, and they already paid Sherwood, which looks like a terrible contract at this point, unfortunately, which surprises me because I really, believed in the player and just hasn't worked.
And he made a great play on that. I don't know if it was Tampa too, but
he did make a good play at the end. Maybe that will click for him. Yeah. I thought he actually played pretty well in London against Carolina for what it's worth.
Wilkes needs to get Sherwood to engage with his primary read in zone. I just don't understand why he's spot dropping and floating in space. Tell him, listen, you're not a safety anymore. Find your primary read, engage, make contact, hand on hip, then turn your eyes to the quarterback. If it's a secondary read, same thing. And I think if they can get him to do that, you're going to start seeing really good stuff, but we'll see.
Comments, questions, super chats, last chance to get in here. The phone lines are open. Mr. Sabo, I'm going to leave you with this. Trade deadline, 1 week from today. Will the New York Jets have Breece Hall on their team the next time they play a game against the Browns?
Yes. I got to, listen, if I'm going to play the odds, I got to go with what I've seen so far in the Glenn Muji regime. And what I've seen is him keeping their guys. He re-signed Sherwood, gave extensions to Garrett and Sauce, which I admit I would not have done. It's not as though I don't like them. They're great players, but I just wouldn't have done it. And, the conversations that have come out with Breece and Glenn, it's saying that he wants to keep them and all that good stuff. So got to play the odds. I don't think any other big guys are going to be moved.
I'm with you. Mr. Sabo, tell us about Jets X Factor.
It's, it's where everyone goes. It's awesome. It's awesome. JetsXFactor.com. Check it out.
JetsXFactor.com.
Yes. And NicksXFactor.com, which the Asmaniacs will hopefully venture upon soon.
Let's go. Nick's back in action tonight, baby.
Yes, sir. That was in Miami. I don't know.
I didn't get to see any of it because I was live during the post game.
It was on did I watch it? It was on the TV, but it was tough during a football Sunday. It's really tough.
It's hard when they play Sundays when football's still going on. They didn't hit their shots. They missed like a bazillion threes, and that's what happened.
And I think the major takeaway theme right now is I think Knicks fans got ahead of get a little too far out in front of their skis, bashing Tibbs after winning 2 home games against banged up injured teams. Let's let the season play out, folks. Come on, let's go. Let's let it play out a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's Robbie Sabo. Mr. Sabo, keep up the great work.
All right. Bye, guys.
Robbie Sabo with us. Weekly spot there. Comments, questions, super chats, open phone lines. Load them up if you want in on the conversation. I'm paying homage today to Tanner Engstrand, who I thought called a heck of a game, rocking my official Tanner Engstrand long sleeve. Speaking of Tanner Engstrand, this is from Ben Solak of ESPN. He was really impressed with Tanner Engstrand. I'm going to play this, then let's get to your calls. So no one's on hold right now. If you've ever wanted to get on the show without a wait time, this is the show for you.
I love what Tanner Engstrand did. Jets offensive coordinator in the second half to manufacture explosive runs off of information he got in the first half, right? This is 3rd and 2. It's the first drive of the game. In short yardage, Jets love to be a zone team, right? You're going to have double teams here, kicking this out. It's just inside zone, but they're going to release that tight end, out into the boundary. Fields has the ability to potentially keep this, right? Read option. There's also 3 receivers out there to the field, little bunch, and they're on a little bubble screen, right? So you have the ability, if they're not 3 over 3 over there, if you like the numbers, to just take this as Fields and throw that bubble. But they're 3 over 3. We're not going to throw this. We're going to run this. So what does Fields see at the mesh point? Trey Hendrickson's surf technique, right? I mean, he's just sitting here, hips right square to it. Where Fields to keep this ball, you're not sure you can beat Hendrickson there to the corner and go pick up a first down. So this is a give read. It's a give read every single time. But the Bengals do a very nice job defending it because they run blitz, right? And when you have 2 rookie linebackers back there, you're going to do this. So they send the backer opposite the back right here, right? And they immediately build a wall on the front side. And this is all, this run's never really going to hit front side. It's never going to get to like the front side B gap anyway. It's always going to come down the pipe on 3rd and 2. But because you widen out this center, you have now Demetrius Knight with a very clear read in this A gap. See the way that he's able to just get downhill, immediately close space. And because Hendrickson surfed so nicely, you have a body in all of these interior gaps. So there's no place for Isaiah Davis to go, but just careen forward and pick up a yard. Again, we're talking about gathering information here, right? This is second quarter. We're going to motion Tyler Johnson and then bring him back into the formation, but we end up with, again, 2 receivers out here to the field. They're on a little bubble screen. We've got an inside zone run. To me, it looks like inside zone. It kind of gets super mucked up, and Justin Fields has the ability to potentially keep this ball and work into the boundary. We are once again going to see Barrett Carter, the backer opposite the back, fire at the B gap right away at the snap. And with it comes a run stunt, right? We're going to spike this defensive tackle A gap. We're going to spike this defensive tackle backside B gap. This spike is the one that really affects the Jets combination blocks on the interior, right? Because we end up with, once again, a wall built here front side and then a very clear, easy A gap read for Demetrius Knight, right? Now, this is a lot of daylight here. Unfortunately, Breece Hall is very good at his job, right? And to give him a little, right? And so we go pick up 4 yards. But independent of the result of the play, we're learning something of what the Bengals are going to do in run defense. So we know they're plugging the backer opposite the running back. What do we do in the second half? Firstly, we walk out in 4-by-1. We move the back strong, right? Previously, we had seen the back over here. We'd seen the back weak. Now we move him strong. What this does is, okay, firstly, now we're changing. Now it's going to be Demetrius Knight, the Mike backer, who becomes the B-gap player, the plugger. And it's Barrett Carter who has to fit off the second level. That's going to be important. But the other thing it forces is that previously, when we were sending this guy and we had him at the second level. We were able to rotate this safety down and have him be an extra 8th player in the box helping in the run fit. But because we have 4 receiving threats to the strong side, the wide side of the field, the Bengals have to rotate their safeties this way. That this safety is now moving away from the direction of the run, right? We see this right as the ball is snapped. Geno Stone has to come into the box, bringing Jordan Battle single high. So now when you send this backer in the B gap, buddy, I've got tons of space behind him. End zone view. So here we are, 4x1. Watch. Demetrius Knight plugs. Defensive tackle is going to spike to the backside A gap, and we end up with just Main Street right here. Armin Membu get the kick out. And so it's going to become Isaiah Davis and Barrett Carter in the gap, in the hole. And this should be a tackle, but it isn't. And in a world in which this safety rotated down, maybe it's an 8-yard gain, but he didn't. He had to rotate away because it was 4x1, and now it becomes a foot race, and now it becomes a 50-yard gain. So we took advantage of the plugger. We created an explosive run, which brings us to this play. 25-yard Breece Hall touchdown. It's excellent because you have had Barrett Carter plug in B gap opposite Breece Hall in the run blitz all game long. So you know if you can just get a ball to the boundary, if you can get a ball outside of Shamar Stewart fast, then this pursuit player is not going to be there. You're expecting him to come downhill. Demetrius Knight, same thing, has been playing fast into that A gap. If we can just get a play into the boundary, we are golden. Here's how Engstrand's going to do it. We're running dart, all right? This tackle is going to pull, kick out this unblocked defensive end, right? Double teams here, double teams here. The primary ball carrier is Justin Fields. Fields would be the one to keep it, follow Membu, and get vertical, right? On the previous plays, we've seen, okay, inside zone, and then Fields is the boundary player. This time, Fields is the interior player. Breece Hall is the option to give, running fast into the boundary. All we need is Shamar Stewart. And again, remember, Membu's pulling, so Stewart's going to step down, step down, step down, step down. All we need to do is get outside of his outside shoulder. We're expecting Carter to come downhill. We're expecting Knight to be playing in the interior. This is the call for what the Bengals have been doing to you defensively. And it works perfectly, right? Look at how easy this block is for Joe Tippmann, right? Like Carter was actually coming A gap on this one, right? They stunted this defensive tackle here, right? He's always working there to the B gap. Carter's always coming A gap. So Tippmann, I mean, this is not even a real block. Like, this is just the easiest block in history. So long as Stewart came a little bit downhill, you rode the give, I should say, just long enough. You got it to Breece Hall with momentum. Breece Hall beats Shamar Stewart to the corner, and then it is curtains for a very nifty. It's good effort by 20. No, sir. Oh, it's well done. It was good play calling in the second half.
Let me say this. I appreciate the breakdown. Good stuff there from Ben Solak, but the way he's talking about Tanner Engstrand and some of the sound effects he's making, I got to play this.
Calm your freaky down.
I mean, my God. I like Tanner, too. I thought he called a good game. Give him credit. But, geez, sounds like he wants to make sweet and passionate love to the man. Which, you know what? Jets score 39 points every week. I'm right there with him. But that was a great breakdown on a serious note. But here's the biggest reason why Tanner Engstrand's team had so much success. The offensive line was incredible. Now, the Bengals pass rush, especially without Hendrickson, is not very good. Their defense stinks. But look at this pocket Fields had. Look at this. Look at that. Big fella wants to know, is this guy from Blue's Clues? That's Benjamin Solak from ESPN. Yeah, kind of like a nerdy football junkie guy, but you know what? The nerds like what the Jets are calling offensively. That's a nice change. Hey, I saw we got Green Bean in the chat. GB, if you're around, would love to hear from you on a Victory Tuesday. Oh, the dream of a team that could do this consistently. Imagine that. Imagine a couple games in a row of really good offensive football. Oh, man. Wouldn't that be something? Honeydukes, right? Saying, hey, guys, what do you think of Justin suddenly took a step? Do you think it was natural progression? Or was he driven by the owner's comments? I think you had the power of Nick Mangold. Seriously. I think you had Fields, who certainly was motivated by Woody's comments. But I think also the team rallied around that. You know, Woody's comments, it wasn't his intention because he's not smart enough to do that, but like they did rally the team. I think they rallied around Fields. Because that was my whole point on why Woody's comments were dumb. Say whatever you want about Justin Fields. They voted him captain. Like, he's got relationships with guys on the team. They like him. Garrett is one of his best friends. So I think that had a lot to do with it for sure. You know, maybe Justin Fields plays great, or the last time he played great, he was horrific against the Bills. Like, we got to see. You know, was it just one game, or did they turn the corner? I mean, you hope it's the latter, but we got to see it, man. I mean, right now they're 1-7, but I rather have the conversation of hope and this coaching staff showing legitimate improvement. And hey, how many games can they win down the stretch? Do we have an offensive coordinator we trust developing a quarterback? I'd rather have these conversations this week than arguing with people. Man, if they win 2 games, do they bring them back? Or 0-17? No, you got to get rid of them. Or, well, what if they win 3 games, but one of them is the Bills the last game of the year when they're not playing anybody because they're resting their starter? Like, we could get back to that if they lose to Cleveland and it looks bad, but we get to be a little positive now for a couple weeks here. And that's nice because no matter what happens this week, the Jets can't lose. They can't be defeated. Ladies and gentlemen, a man who is never defeated is nice enough to call in to give us a couple minutes here. Ladies and gentlemen, Green Bean is on the line. GB, thanks for calling in, my friend.
Hey, Home Slice, how you doing?
I'm hanging in, my man. What is life like for you? A win by the Jets. I couldn't believe my eyes.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. You know what? I was watching you the other day, and it made me laugh. And it's exactly, I think I can't say it better, so I'll reiterate what you said. You said, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like when we win, it's like, you don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to say. And, it's like, but that's very much it. Yeah, I got like 5-10 minutes here, Jake. I just wanted to say hello. But what's funny about us as a fan base, and this is why I love us and why I maintain that we get a bad rap. Yes, we're negative. Yes, we're intense. Yes, we're, loud and all that kind of stuff. But dude, you give us we are 1-7 and we beat, 31st defense in the NFL, I think it is. And there is a literal conversation about why a 7-game run makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? We were fine, dude, late into the second quarter on my live stream for the game. We were literally talking about coaching options when we get, and at the end, we're like worried about Tanner Engstrand getting plucked to be a head coach.
Yep. It's amazing, man. I had someone talk about how, they could just beat the Browns and Patriots. The rest of the games are all winnable. I'm like, dude, oh my God.
It's crazy. And, it sucks that the Patriots are stuck in there. And I think the Patriots are our Thursday night, right? Isn't that right?
That's the Thursday night in their building. Yeah, that's going to be tough.
So it sucks because, we get to see, obviously, I was a big Vrabel guy. I was under the, I was of the belief that he's in your building. You don't let him leave. I know what he's trying to do. I know what the plan is with the Patriots and using the Jets. I get all that. But it doesn't matter. He's still there. He's in your fucking building. You can just don't let him leave, and we get to see what's happening up there. He's got 3 other former head coaches on his staff, and he's got Drake May, and you see it. They're 6-2, I think they are, right? And you just see, here we are with another rookie head coach and the whole thing. And it sucks that it's them because we can beat Cleveland. And if it was the Patriots of last year, we could beat them. Now we're talking about a 3-game win streak heading into the Ravens, who aren't really the Ravens of old. So I don't know. It's like, it does start to get this conversation going like, hey man, what if, Brownlee's settling in, JJ's back, all this stuff that Breece Hall's on fire, so it's like, but they're going to beat us most likely. But hey, how about we just do this, Jake? Here's an idea that I'm struggling with, but I'm working on. How about I just allow myself to enjoy a victory and see what's going on next week? You know what I mean? Watch a game. We got to bye this week, so take a fucking breath.
Chill.
Take a chill. Yeah, let's do that.
Now, let me ask you this. Where are you at with some of the trade deadline conversation? How do you feel about the Jets trading Breece Hall? Do you now want them to keep Breece Hall? I've been advocating for them to try and get an extension with Breece because the argument, you can just find a running back. No, you can't find another Breece Hall. It's not that easy. You haven't had too many Breece Halls over the last 25 years. And I would like to keep him because regardless who the quarterback is next year, Breece Hall could help you. And I think I'd love to see this offense feature him and Isaiah Davis on the field together because I think he's a real player too. Give us your thoughts on Breece and some of the other guys rumored to be up for sale potentially by the deadline.
Yeah. Well, I think it was Connor Hughes last week that put out these rumored values of what we're going to get for the guys. So Breece Hall was like a 5th, and Quinnen Williams was a 2nd, and JJ was a 3rd. And I was like, I don't want to trade anybody for that. Like, for real. You want to get rid of Lazard for a 7th and Michael Carter the 2nd for a 6th and of picks. That's fine. Do all that stuff that you want. If you can get a 1st for Quinnen, I'm into it. Love Quinnen and all that, but bringing it to Breece, I'm right with you, man. Like, do we not forget how recent it was that Trenton Cannon and Elijah McGuire were our guys? You know what I mean? Like, yes, other teams can just grab a guy in the 4th or 5th round and he's great. It doesn't really work like that for us all the time. We do have Braylon Allen, who, look, he's injured, but I didn't lose my faith in the guy. I love Braylon Allen. Isaiah Davis, like you said, is a player, but neither of them are a Breece Hall. Keep the guy. If you're talking about getting a 5th round pick, that's like somebody you really want to get rid of. Like, I don't care. I'll take anything. You can use this time period right now, like you're saying, get an extension. If not, you can franchise them next year and have that new quarterback that we have a bona fide, like, upper tier running back. Breece Hall's a stud, guys. The fact that we see him slow down and everything, dude, they have 8 and 9 in the box for the last couple of years because we have not shown them that they need to do anything else. Our quarterbacks traditionally here can't make them pay. So, it's not Breece per se. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm with you. I think keep the guy. If somebody's going to blow your doors off and say, you know what, we're going on our championship run, like, I don't know, just as an example, like the Niners, the Chiefs, something like that. And they say, look, we'll give you our 2nd round pick or something like that. Like they're going to blow your doors off. Okay, you entertain that. But for a 5th round pick, I'd rather take my chances with a potential comp or just franchise the guy next year. And the running back franchise isn't one that's going to kill you.
Nope, only around 13 million. So
yeah.
I'm right there with you. I know you got to run, so I want to give you an opportunity here because I would love to get your thoughts on Nick Mangold, of course. Just devastating news. But, for you as someone who's seen basically all the history that this franchise has had for the most part, GB, your thoughts on Nick Mangold, the legacy that he leaves behind. It's not just a player, but one of the more beloved, franchise icons that the Jets have ever had.
Yeah, it's funny. I was literally just moments before I hopped on, I just finished editing like one of my shorts, and it was a Nick Mangold short about this. And I think this is one of the things, a little wrinkle that just highlights who he was for us. He was born in Ohio. He played high school football in Ohio. He played for Ohio State. And then he comes to the Jets. There's every reason to believe that, like, when he retires, he'd be more applicable to be like an Ohio guy. And he stayed with us. Like, he stayed a visible, like, outward person in our community, announcing draft picks, showing up in London, all those. He's just been around the whole time. I mean, so much so that a lot of Jets fans, myself included, were like, hey, why isn't Nick Mangold getting his ear bent to be maybe one of our coaches, an assistant line coach or something like that? But he's been, a consistent part of the New York Jets organization. And one of us, shows up at tailgate parties, all that kind of stuff. He's just a super cool dude. And the truth is, Jake, he was a certified badass. He went, remember, like, the battles, Vince Wilfork, who was one of those guys, he'll ruin your day from the inside. The Mangold Vince Wilfork battles were like, they were great. Dude, he neutralized that guy.
Yep.
And he was such a true, like, one of the best centers in the league in I think maybe in NFL history. Like, truly, not just because he's a Jet. So it's gut-wrenchingly painful. We had numerous Jets fans. I'll bring up one that I know of, Crossfire, who's all over our chats and everything. Dude, the day Mangold announced that he needed a kidney, Crossfire, who happens to be the same blood type, put his name on the list. There were numerous people like jumping out like, hey man, I'm in, I'll help this guy. And it's just such an incredible shame that it's just a couple weeks ago and then we lose him. It's like, all right, man, he'll get a kidney, like, but this process, I can't speak to what the donor process is or anything like that. But it's just so incredibly sad that, you had the need. You had a good man. He's young. It's not like it's some 86-year-old guy or something. He's 41 years old. And you had people willing to give, to donate an organ to him, and he couldn't make it, and it's so gut-wrenchingly painful. You saw Rex Ryan. I think that pretty much says it all. But I'll tell you what, man, it's very rare that we have these, but he's one of those guys that you can be proud was ours, Like even like you remember, look, even the Revis Klecko thing, it happened on your show. It's like we get two guys going into the Hall of Fame and they still can't not Jets it up. You know what I mean? They got to poke each other. And Nick Mangold was above board on all that kind of stuff. He's a true stud, true great man, super fucking cool. And it's just a shame. And I think, we can be proud that he's one of us, man. And it's sad, man. It's sad. And I think he should get into the Hall of Fame, even if not a first ballot. I think he's getting in without question.
Yeah, I think like that's the next thing for his family. At least they could have that moment where they get to see Nick inducted. Because I agree with everything you said. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I'm going to use my platform, and anytime I get a chance to talk about Nick Mangold, to advocate for him to be in the Hall of Fame, because he was as good as any center during his time in the league. And Joe B made this point yesterday on the show. There's not a ton of centers that have made the Hall of Fame, but we as Jet fans, we know what Hall of Fame center play looks like, because we went from Mawai to Nick Mangold. I think the guy's a Hall of Famer, and I hope he gets in, and his family could at least have that moment where they get to see Nick honored, with the full ceremony and the full, pro football Canton experience.
Yeah, could not agree more. And I heard Joe Bringo say that as well. Like, it's an interesting point. Like, wait a minute, there's not a lot of centers in the Hall of Fame. It's like you just would. It's not something that you would think about. But it's true. And for the Jets to go from Kevin Mawai, who was another one, right from Kevin Mawai to Nick Mangold. And don't forget, the Jets, Mangini came on board and traded away one of our greats, John Abraham. And that doesn't traditionally work well for us. You saw it with Darrelle Revis. We traded Darrelle Revis and used that pick on D. Milliner. Like, that's usually the way it goes. We traded John Abraham and used that pick on Nick Mangold. So it's one of those things where it's just, going from Kevin Mawai to Nick Man. We even had other centers like Joe Fields and all. Oddly enough, the Jets' history is riddled with really top-notch center play out of all the positions, Jake. You know what I mean? So not quarterback. Center, though, we got that. But, yeah, Nick Mangold was top of the heap, man. He's a true and another thing, 11 years in the NFL, all with us.
Yeah,
you just don't see that very often. DeBrickashaw Ferguson, his partner, 10 years, all with the Jets. And then there was that era, the end of it, Kyle Clifton, Marvin Jones, Mo Lewis. Like there were these guys, they were Jets. And you don't see that much anymore. And it's nice that we don't have to do the Revis thing where it's like, he's a Jet. He's definitely a Jet, but he does have a little asterisk, a little Patriots, little this, little that. Nick Mangold, none of that stuff. He's He's pure. He's a pure Jet.
Even Namath had the Rams stint at the end. Klecko was with the Colts briefly. Like Mangold and DeBrick, you're 1,000% spot on. They were Jets through and through. Love that. GB, you're the man. Thanks for calling in. Always good to hear from you. You guys doing Talking Jets tonight? If so,
yeah, we'll be on. And then Jake, I'm going to have you on the show if you're into it. I started doing this segment, with Sexy Grok. Have you seen any Sexy Grok yet?
I see the thumbnail with the lady. I don't think I've actually seen the segment. I've tuned in before you've actually had that segment.
Yeah, it's berserk. And so what I'm going to do is start having guys, because she recognizes people. She knows, because she's an AI. So if I said, hey, I have Jake Asman on, she'll know who you are and she'll be able to tailor the conversation about you. But she's a trollop. She's a promiscuous AI. And so we ask her Jets questions, and everything she says is she has like a tilt that's not necessarily for the kids. So anyway, I'll have you on. We'll do that tonight too. We'll do Talking Jets and then the After Hours Jets Fest. But one of these nights in the near future, I'll see if I can't get you on to talk with Sexy Grok.
Love it. GB, you're the best. Thanks for calling in, my friend.
All right, see you, man. Talk to you later, Jake.
Green Bean Jets fan. Go subscribe to his channel. Talking Jets. Him, Matt, and Ryan do an amazing job. And we raised some awareness for this earlier, but O'Leary, shout out to him. He's already raised $3,000 he tweeted in profits, where the net proceeds of anyone buying these hoodies for Nick Mangold are going to be going to the National Kidney Foundation. So awesome job. I bought a shirt yesterday to support. So everyone check that out at Matt's website, mattoleary.com. Hit the like button, comments, questions, super chats. I got time for maybe one more call. Light on calls today, which is rare, but hey, that's all good. Adam is our closer, unless anyone else calls in. And when I get done with Adam here, we're going to do the raffle. So if you want your last chance to enter to win, the following 3 items: a signed CJ Mosley helmet, a signed Wayne Corbett football, and a signed Walt Clyde Frazier jersey. This is final call to enter the raffle. Only 10 memberships during the show. So increase your chances. Get in here. Peter W. increased his chances. He's in the raffle for 2. He says, I agree with Beningo. Quinnen's the only guy I would feel maybe okay with trading. I would just wait till the offseason because I think you can get more for Quinnen in the offseason than you could now. Now, if someone gives you a first-round pick, all right. I got to strongly consider that depending on who the team is. But I don't think they're going to trade Quinnen. I personally would be surprised. Adam is too cool. Close this out today, Adam. What do you got?
I'm going to talk very slowly so more callers can come in. Anyway, don't trade Quinnen. Come on. I mean,
I'm not saying I would trade him. I'm just saying I'll consider it in the offseason because like if he wants a big contract and they don't want to do it, like what's the plan? I'm more open to it is what I'll say. Because I think if you're going to trade him, you need to maximize his value because he's still a terrific player at his position where I need at least a first-round pick if I'm trading him.
Yeah, definitely. But I don't know. Like, could have traded Mosley years ago. Never did. I mean, Mosley.
You weren't going to get a first-round pick for him, though.
Probably. Well, yeah. The older he got, probably less and less. But if anyone's coming for Quinnen with the first, that would be pretty interesting considering how expensive he is. So,
correct.
But when's his contract running out? I didn't think we were at that point yet.
We're not. He's under contract for a couple more years, but none of his money is guaranteed. So he's going to want security in case he gets cut or in case he gets hurt, and then they can just cut him. He's going to want some more guarantees in his deal. That's how that goes.
Okay. Well, I think he's been very loyal to the organization all this time. You know, cryptic tweets aside, he's been pretty. I mean, you could say like he's the heart and soul of the defensive line.
He's been a great soldier, man. All his experience is losing, and he bought into this new regime, and they're 1-7. So I don't blame him for any frustration. And like any tweets he had, like the guess we're headed for a rebuild. Like we as fans were like, yeah, we're pissed too. Like we love that he cares. You know, we love that a guy who's been paid like wants to win and be a part of this. So I love Quinn, and I have nothing but respect for him, even though he has me blocked on Twitter.
He blocked you on Twitter?
After his rookie year, I did a radio segment on SB Nation Radio, and I basically said, like, Quinn was kind of disappointing as a rookie, and we need more in year 2, and I got tweeted out, and he blocked me, and has never unblocked me.
Oh, man. Well, at any rate, I was thinking about, like, I think we've been mentioning this in the Discord. There were times where it just seemed like Engstrand didn't trust Fields, but now I'm really wondering, did Engstrand have trust issues with other players too? Like you saw now out of necessity, some of these other wide receivers and Isaiah Davis and others really like making the most out of a porous defense. And I just was thinking maybe this will unlock a little bit more in the bye week. Maybe a little bit more creativity on offense will be encouraged now because they've produced on the field, because you never know. And, you know, when you don't know if you're going to have a drive lasting more than 4 downs, you know, maybe you do have to just be conservative and go with your best plays. But I'm hoping we'll see more creativity down the line because there's clearly something there. And we may not face a defense like Cincinnati every week, but there are a lot of teams on the remaining schedule whose defense is closer to Cincinnati than Cleveland. So be interesting to see what we do there.
Yeah, I think we will kind of get an idea right away if it was the Bengals defense being awful, Adam, or did we see Fields get confidence and he could play confidently even if he's not putting up 39 points in this game on Sunday? Or 2 Sundays from now. Now we can't hear you, Adam. What happened to your audio? I see your lips moving, but we can't hear you. All right. Farewell. Good call, though. I look, I really like what Engstrand did, but I think we need to also be aware of the Bengals defense being grotesque. I mean, look at the pocket Fields had. He wasn't touched all day. Hey, Bucks Fanatic, shake and bake. What a gentleman. How about a 5 spot of gifted memberships from our guy? Let's go.
I hug him every day. I hug him every day.
Hugs for everybody. 5 people received a channel membership. Donnie Rosso, Billy M, Just for Fun. Where are the other memberships here? Donnie Rosso. Oh, ... Billy M, Just for Fun, and Ricky NY. Wow, Ricky getting a channel membership. In honor of Ricky NY getting a channel membership, I present to you the best of the Ricky NY show featuring our guy, Beastbreaker.
Non-Jets talk. Just to hang under my guys call in.
How's everything going for you? Pretty good? I'm
What's
ready
up,
to say
man?
next, we're gonna have to do this. Either take 10 billion out and go get
Yeah,
new talent. Oh, Christ! $10 billion will have to be taken out. We have no choice.
I look at it like, and I lived, but last my other team, Florida. Then he said,
I already said next year, why don't we just go out and get some talent? We have to give them the test first, and they have to pass all 3 tests. That means they got to have speed and they got to have charisma. Speed and charisma. Because you don't have these 3 things, what the hell are you going to do for the rest of your life? Eat at Wendy's? Why are you not fucking producing? You got to start thinking like, ooh.
do you let him walk? And it's okay.
Yeah. Guys, right out of here. Right here.
That's going to be it.
Get a new quarterback.
Thank you, Beast. Appreciate. Good Lord. Wow. Well, guys, yeah, my Wi-Fi is
Tremendous. What a moment in time, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, who's ready for the weekly raffle? We got 3 prizes to raffle away, and we do it right now.
It's time to announce the winners of the weekly Asmaniac raffle. Let's spin the Jake Asman Show Wheel of Champions and find out which Asmaniac is winning an epic prize.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Wheel of Champions. All the memberships over the last week have been put into one Wheel of Champions. Only one can win a prize per raffle. And if you win, I have to coordinate with you to send you your prize. You got to email me, asmanjake@gmail.com. It's in the description if you forget, but it's my last name, my first name, @gmail. Prize 1 is a Walt Clyde Frazier jersey. Prize 2 is a Wayne Corbett signed football. Prize 3 is a CJ Mosley signed helmet. Let's do the granddaddy of them all first. Some people say save the best for last. Not today. Clyde Frazier jersey, prize 1. Up for grabs. We're going to spin the Wheel of Champions. The winner of the signed Clyde jersey is Matt L. Congratulations to Matt L. Matt, if you're not a Knicks fan and you want me to exchange it for a Jet signed jersey, we can coordinate that. But congratulations. If you are a Knicks fan, it's as good as it gets right there. All right. Next prize is a signed Wayne Corbett football. Ladies and gentlemen, your winner is Eli. Hey, shout out to the great Eli Betts. He might be in the chat. He is in the chat. He just congratulated Matt L. Everyone congratulate Eli, who's watching the show live. Eli, Awesome, man. Appreciate your support. Congrats. That's a great prize. All right. Next up, and our last prize is a CJ Mosley signed helmet. Ladies and gentlemen, our final weekly winner is Spencer Green. Of course. Spencer's been on quite the run, man. Congrats to Matt, Eli, Spencer, our 3 weekly raffle winners. I can promise you, I don't know what it is just yet, but our top prize in our upcoming raffle, this will be raffle 47, will feature something related to Nick Mangold, either a signed helmet, football, or jersey. I have bids out for all these items, but people are jacking up the prices trying to take advantage of Nick's passing. So I am in progress trying to get that done for this community. But again, congrats to our winners. Hit the Jet chant for them. Let's go. We'll have an awesome film review this afternoon with Joe Blewett. Jets have a win, and you guys make it all possible to do the show, win or lose. So thank you again for that. Let's go.
First win!
Reminder to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. You're not finding 4 hours of daily Jets talk year-round anywhere else. Make sure that you like the video. Join my Patreon if you want to get in our private Discord and get all the other perks, like your name added to the intro. A couple days left in October. We update the countdown ticker of names each and every month. Again, thank you to everyone who watches this great show. Wouldn't be a great show without you. So I leave you guys with a clip that needs to be played. It feels like it's appropriate on a day like today. Sit back and enjoy. J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets. Pork of the Morning is next on the show today. Hello, Pork.
Strange thing happened to me. The whole thing with my divorce, it never went through, right? My wife never signed the papers. So she texts me on Thursday. She wants to reconcile. So I said, we'll try it again. Some people don't want me to do it, but I mean, it's my life, right?
Okay.
I do love the lady. We've been through a lot together. What people don't know is my mom died like 2 days before I moved here. She actually died on my dad's birthday, and he died on the 4th of July. You know, I was reading the stuff that Sauce was saying. He will sign a contract. And he
Hold on a second. Hold on. We can't get to a Sauce Gardner take off of what you're saying. That is, I will definitely give you a chance to make any Jet point you want.
Warning. Jake Asman is not a mental illness or psychiatric professional.
You have this conversation with her over the weekend. I'm assuming this was in person. Did you guys plan to meet and talk about your relationship? What exactly happened that led to you guys rekindling your marriage, essentially getting back together?
We went out for breakfast yesterday, talked about everything we've been through in the last 2 years and, you know, where our lives are at. And we both miss each other dearly. I'm going to move out of this apartment here within the next couple of months. This one-room love shack really ain't me anyway.
You got to try it if your heart's telling you to do it.
Yeah, my heart's in it. I mean, I probably shared to you, I am a recovering alcoholic, and she is too. We're probably going to go to church next weekend.
If I went to church, it would have to be done by 12. All right, I'm not missing a 1 o'clock kickoff. Let's be real.
Oh, she knows that already. The world stops when the Jets are.
Exactly.
Let me get back to that Jets tape.
This was something. I wish you nothing but the best, happiness, all that. Keep us updated on everything. You know, we're wishing you all the best with whatever comes next with you and potentially rekindling your relationship with your ex.
All right, guys, jet lag to the next life. Have a great day.
Wizard and magical fart blasting.
People think I don't want to work, which is not true. I just had a bit of a nap not too long ago, too, so that didn't help.
Love it, dude.
You're talking about how people don't.
You can't say that people think you don't want a job and then say that you came off a real good nap. It's a hard 2 sentences to put together, Charles. It is. You got Jake off the camera.
How do you not see the irony in that, Charles? This is why Charles is the best of the best. I can't end the show. Matt, you won. You won a prize. You're in next week's raffle now for 10. You won the Clyde Frazier jersey. Matt L. I don't know how people are still watching, but he just gifted 10 memberships. Holy hell. Matt L. Thank you. I can't end the show yet. Let's go.
We got the 3 dumbest morons on here. Mo, Larry, and Curly.
And your name is Shitty.
This is the second show in a row this happened. Mimosa did it. She was watching on delay. Maybe Matt's on delay too. Matt, if you're on delay, eventually you'll see this and you'll know that you won. And I'll be reaching out to you or reach out to me because I got to remember what your email is and we'll get you your prize. All right. That's enough talking for now. Go Jets. Thank you. Matt L., you're in the raffle. 410 with this. Take it away, Beast.
Joining us right now is a new member of the ESPN family. He's also an
Nobody gives a shit.
Hold on. I'm having some glitches here, Rich.
Oh, that was great. That was perfect. Nobody gives a shit.
Oh, hi. Jake wants me to ask you to click on the like button.
That's right, Lane. And if they don't subscribe to the Jake Asman Show, this team may never win another game. Let's go, Jets.